Hello everyone, welcome on another 3Shape webinar. This time we are going to be presenting one of the Inside Implant Studio webinars and the title is A Link to Dental System. First let me introduce myself. My name is Christopher Adams. I'm a dental technician and dental software trainer for 3Shape Academy. Before I have started in 3Shape as an application specialist, I worked in a laboratory for best part of 5 years, also using dental system. On today's agenda, since as you probably know, since you signed up and participating in this webinar, we're going to be talking about a link between Implant Studio and dental system for the purpose of designing customized healing abutments. That's why on this agenda, first I wanted to show you which files will the laboratory need, how to find them, of course how to send a file, and you can quite easily use 3Shape Communicate for that. If for any reason you can't use 3Shape Communicate, I will also tell you what else can be done, how differently this could be handled. So where to find the relevant files in Implant Studio for laboratory. Then I will also show you how to design customized healing caps, and for that I prepared some live demo case, and I will also show you what are the other design possibilities, since the principle of, let's say, creating a file and determining the whole restoration will be very similar for not only for customized healing abutments, but depending on the confidence of each of the parties, we can use it for either making customized abutments, temporary restorations, or maybe even a final restoration if you want to go that far. Usually we are leaving at the very end of the session some time for questions and answers. If I will have some time at the end, I'll be very happy to check on those and see if we have any. If not, if I won't find time and you will be sending the answers, then I will try to get back to you by email personally with the answers. If you also have some questions either to a different topic, or you will come up with some questions at some other time, you can always send them to webinar@3shape.com and we will take a look over there as well. So that's the easiest way to contact us. Okay, so now we're going to go through the demo. I'll get back to the presentation a little bit later on. First, I will start with the Implant Studio. I have prepared a case a little bit earlier on. It's not been finished, it's not been completed, because there are a few things that in here are relevant. Of course, at the beginning, the very first stages when we determine the order form, we need to make sure that we select the laboratory, of course, and as a setup for planning, I've selected in this case a tooth-borne restoration with, of course, implant planning, drill guide design, and I also have some anatomies just to guide me to make it easier to fit the abutments and place them very easily. So if I will click on one of those, you will see that there is an implant planning with a surgical guide selected, and I have a crown designed as well. When I will go to the planning part itself, of course, you're getting through the whole process exactly the same as you would do for any other case. If I will go to the stage, the actual planning where I will place the implants, in here, of course, I will select them from the libraries. So let me place one. In this case, I've took, just as an example, a Straumann bone level with the regular platform 4.1 on a length of 10 millimeters. I'm not going to spend too much time on the planning, as that's not the topic of today's presentation. But I wanted to point out to you what's going to be relevant, what's going to be important for the laboratory. When we will do the planning, we should also inform the laboratory, if they will be handling the case afterwards, which type of the implants has been used. If I'm going to send the case via communicate, it will transfer information from the order form, but since at the beginning we didn't know which implants we're going to be using, that has been decided later on, I will come back and fill the comment section, just updating the information about the implants. So let's say that was the 3.6 and 3.7 Straumann bone level RC. And this information should be transferred also to dental system in the comments, and that should make the whole process a lot easier in the future, when we will have a global mapping system for both implant systems and the materials, and that's not going to be necessary right now. I would put it over there just to avoid any confusions. And then I can go back to my planning stage, of course, complete the rest of the process. And here I just haven't completed designing of the drill guide. I've made a plan, but I haven't completed it, so software will load everything as it was earlier on. Usually this shape will load up in a matter of moments. It's not very big, it's not very complicated. I have added one marker for exact location of the implant. I can do it also very easily on the other side on 237. Also clicking on orientation marks, software will recalculate the guide and add those as well. That will give us confidence on both sides, both clinical and laboratory one, that when the implant will be placed, it's not only going to have the right height, but also the fixture will have the correct orientation. Then of course we can add bars and windows ID tags if necessary, and then we can continue with approving the planning and approving surgical guide as well. From here, what should I do? Of course, go further and send the file. In this case, of course, since I have an icon with the communicate, I can send it using 3Shape communicate. That will take a few moments to complete. And of course, we could spend it in here just watching the progress bar, but since we have a very limited amount of time, what I will do is I will minimize this order and see if I can find the order already here. Let me see if this is no, that's probably not the case that I'm looking for. And that's going to be something similar. Okay, if we would be sending a case as I'm doing it right now, so using 3Shape communicate, all the information from the surface scan, including the position of the implants, will be sent, and of course arriving into a dental system. I will just import it just like any other case coming, for instance, from Trios, so it will arrive to exactly the same place. Going to Trios inbox. In here, in this computer, I don't have it configured, so it would arrive as normal in here, and I will be able to accept it and place it in my regular orders. Because this process might take a couple of minutes, it's quite a lot of information. You can see that it right now it's still somewhere halfway through in the sending process. I've prepared myself a similar case a little bit earlier on, so I can show you how to import it. In case you don't have such a possibility, always on the computer where Implant Studio is installed, there will be, of course, a folder where most of the information will be sent. Some of the files will be very relevant for implant for a dental system. So if you don't have a communicate, one of the files is called Joe with implant info. This is basically a surface scan, and in here we're talking primarily about the tooth bone restorations. And there is already, if I will highlight the annotations, there are 2 markers for coordinate system for the implants. What we can do in here is just create a new order form, import this scan just like a surface scan, and select, of course, the correct implant systems. That's why if we would be sending this file, I would also recommend to send the surgical report where the exact information about the types of the implants was highlighted as well. Let me take a closer look here. Yes, it seems like the case was already sent. If I will look into a save folder, open it, exactly the same information will be here. So lower jaw scan with implant info, just like I was showing you moments ago. Good. And of course we have a surgical report where we have information about the implants. Diameter 4.1, length 10. This is information that laboratory can also benefit from for selecting the rest of the components. Okay, since the job was sent, let's move towards dental system. And in here, since I showed you that I don't have the inbox configured, I will just import the case just like it would arrive as normal. Okay, software found the closest possible settings. So in here, as you can see, there is an implant planning and surgical guide selected. There's also abutments and the crowns. For healing abutments, I don't need to select anatomies. That's why I will focus only on the abutment stage. And of course, in here, I should select also an implant kit according to the information that was sent from the clinic. So matching components needs to be found. I don't need to have exactly the same scan flag, because actually no scan flag was used so far, but the components that will be fitted here. To make things a little bit more interesting, a little bit different, I will select one of the healing abutments using one-piece library, and the other one will stay as a two-piece library. So I have a possibility of making those customized healing abutments either from prefabricated blanks with the fixtures already in them, or use a titanium interface with some sort of other shape or other material cemented on top of it. Doesn't matter if it's going to be metal, if it's going to be PEEK. I will leave it entirely up to you which material you would prefer to use in here. Okay. Yeah, in here I have a zircon as a material. Fair enough. Maybe to make it more realistic, I will keep it as a titanium color, and the one that will be two-piece, so will be one cemented on top of another one that's gonna be in zirconia color. Okay, so when I have this one ready and order arrived, next step in the whole process will be to make a design. As you can see, scan is here, it's correct. I also should have annotations in here. They will be shown later on. If I don't need to trim anything, this scan looks particularly clean, then I'm not going to make any changes. If I will change the position of the template in here, that would mean, and it will be very relevant, if we are going to send the case later on for printing, for model. We have also possibility of sculpt on the model. In here, if you can, by any chance, or you're feeling, again, confident enough, if you can predict how the soft tissue will behave later on, you can try to do this in here and shape the gingiva a little bit more. If I would move further on, as you can see, software already recognized the position of the implants, and according to what I selected in the order form, one is marked as a one-piece abutment, and here we have a maximum shape of the blank from which this abutment can be manufactured. The other one will have a cemented titanium interface. In here, insertion direction will not make much of a difference if we would like to select it differently, as these will be just very simple healing abutments. But they are maybe not as simple as I just mentioned. They will be really nice because they are custom made for this patient. So what I will do is I will place first the emergence profile according to my needs. Some people like to use the option snap to gingiva to rest the markers for emergence profile at the gingiva level. In here, I will also like to give you a little hint. If you press shift, then all of the whole group of the dots will be marked with the same color. We can lift it a little bit higher. You can also keeping the shift button, shape the emergence profile underneath. What I also think would be pretty good and pretty interesting preparing the case for the future restoration is to shape the edge of the emergence profile to the right contour. Since we're working on the molar, most probably tooth being cross-sectioned at the marginal level will have a little bit more rectangular shape. This is why I will be able to use this healing abutment to also prepare and shape the gingiva in the correct position. Right now it still looks like a customized abutment because this is the functionality that I'm using at the moment, but I can quite easily modify it in a shape that will be more relevant in here. So first I will make it a little bit wider, and now I will drop the height to it. I can't drop the height too far. You will see that the abutment is turning the color into red, and that's very strictly limited by the height of the components. In here I have a one-piece abutment, and depending what components you're going to be using, I've noticed working today on quite a few cases using different components, different libraries, that some of the manufacturers will allow you to drop the whole shape almost to the level of the gingiva. In here, you also need to remember that on top of the abutment we also have screw, and screw needs to be covered by the healing abutment. In here, I am a little bit restricted by the provider of the library. Of course, apart from shaping it like this, later on I have an access to a sculpt toolkit, and most probably you will be able to shape it a little bit better afterwards. Even if my library is limiting me in terms of the height, but you know that you can do it a little bit further. Of course, there's some space for manual adjustment as well. So as you can see, software got me to the sculpt toolkit. I could try to, let's say, smooth the corners and make it a little bit more friendly in terms of shape. but I'm not sure if I'm not going to go too far, if software will not limit me from violating minimum thicknesses in here and will not stop me from producing this healing cap. Okay, going further on, I can see that software is still allowing me to go further, so that's good. If I would try to go too far, so let's say lower the shape even more, if I will go further, as you can see, limitations has failed, so the total height is out of range. My top cap is a little bit too low for the software to accept it. And so I will lift it to the level where it was. That should make the whole process a little easier. Okay, I also have a tooth 3.7. This one usually is the one that is restricting me a little bit more, not only by the height of the screw, but also with the height of the interface. And that's why I would say that it should be easier to make this kind of setup, and of course that's most of the cases will be allowed for local manufacturing, but only for really deep placement of the implant, as we need to take under consideration not only the height of the stump for the titanium interface, but also the inner part of it. And in here, designing process will look very much similar. By meaning, we can snap it to gingiva, place the shape a little bit more rectangularly, and then using Shift also shape our abutment to be a little bit smaller. And then drop the height until the abutment will turn red. As you can see, the design that I'm using in here allows me to do quite a lot of things. And the functionality that I used is just a modification of existing order form and adapting the current design possibilities to my needs. And here we have another screw hole successfully generated, and of course these two files being very much different in terms of components used, so either a pre-manufactured blank for tooth 3.6 or titanium interface for tooth 3.7, both of them possible, and as you can see, achievable in the matter of minutes. Then of course both of them will be saved locally for local manufacturing. If you will select external manufacturing, then of course they will be sent to whomever will produce them. If not, I'll just generate CAM file, go to Advanced, Explore CAM, and here we have STL files generated quite easily right away. So as you can see, the guide as we sent it, as we designed it earlier on, coming as an STL file, and of course two of our healing abutments, and this is depending what manufacturing we have enabled. And here we have just an open STL for manufacturing from any material. The other one will require blank That's why the whole will be generated later on. Plus, this is the one that I'm supposed to send for centralized manufacturing. That's why the fixture is not visible here. This is something that will be added later on. By showing you this, I wanted to also let's say relate to what you might have seen on the videos or on our materials available in social media, that we can deliver or prepare the planning with a complete package of the components, as much as drill guide being prepared and manufactured locally. The same might happen with in this case, with the healing abutments. And in here, that would also lead me to, let's say, the other part of the presentation that I had prepared for you. So let me move further on. Apart from healing abutments, we can, of course, we have access to a full range of abutments. Doesn't matter if it's going to be customized abutment with a cemented restoration, or maybe screw-retained restorations, either in full contour or with layered material on top of it. In here, since we already designed the customized abutment, we do have an information from the emergence profile that should help us out, even in sometime in the future, design very good, correct, and exactly the same fitting customized abutment. As right now, modifying my order form just to design customized abutment, we already have the design, we already have the information from the emergence profile, so that should be really easy. Of course, you have an access to also angulated screw hole or screw hole protection, depending what is needed for a specific case. One of the new features that I wanted to sneak in here on this occasion on the laboratory system is a possibility of using multi-unit abutments as a new functionality. So far we have only one library that gives such a possibility, but I'm pretty sure that it's only the matter of time when we will see more and more of them offering such possibilities. And if you're going to be working with multi-unit abutments or non-engaging abutments, it's also possible to select a positioning guide for those, design both abutment with positioning guide within one scanning, one designing session, and make sure that all the components will fit correctly one on top of another. I would say that that would be pretty much it for this lecture. I'm going to in a moment check if you have any questions, and at this moment already I would like to invite you to join our next webinar, next from of course Inside Implant Studio type of webinars with guide design part 2. This one will be handled on November 17th between 4 and 4:45, made by my colleague Dr. Jan Pauliks. He'll be handling this webinar. Of course, since you found this webinar, you know where to find the link. It's going to be on the 3Shape website, Knowledge Center, and tab webinars. As far as I know, my colleague is also sending you a registration link in the chat mode. So please take a look over there. You can click directly and yeah, register right now. Right. So let me take a look on the questions. Okay, why the output file named always the same name? Well, that's a very good question. I think it makes just the whole process a lot easier. These files are placed already in folders that are related to very specific case. That's why we haven't changed their names. If there is a good reason why we should name them according to the case. So basically add patient names. Please let us know. I'll be very happy to transfer this information further on and see if we can add it to the next upcoming releases. Okay, looking through more questions. Okay, one more question that I have in here. Which brand gives a multi-unit abutments possibility? Well, at the moment, like I said, we have only one, and that's a biodental library. But like I said, most probably very shortly we will have more coming up. Okay, and from what I can see, that's pretty much all when it comes to the questions. What I will do is I will wait in here for a couple of more minutes in case you do come up with some sort of questions. So please come up with those. And I will slowly gonna be going offline. So I would like to thank you very much for joining on this webinar. I would like to thank you also for questions coming up. I can see that more people are asking about the multi-unit abutments. Well, so far, as far as I know, it's the biodental library that it's offered as a multi-unit. So you can check those, maybe contact directly to get those enabled. Okay, if you have more questions, please send them to me. I will wait for them in here. So far, thank you very much for attending this webinar. Thank you very much for the questions. And once again, I would like to invite you to join upcoming webinars. Have a very nice evening. Thank you very much.